at least at some point, we got to tackle all of those and say, okay, what are the reasons why an organization would let somebody go? What are a couple of reasons why you have seen organizations or been part of an organization that has had to let somebody go?
Well, I guess for me, I've been in a couple of scenarios. There's been ones where there's been like legal reasons or, some sort of like racial slur was said or someone threatened somebody else in a violent manner. There's those fun ones. Those have a lot of fun attached to them. There's the ones where they're just not a good employee for the business. Maybe they're a little culture. I put it in two categories. There's the culture component where there's toxic culture. And then there's those that they're just amazing people, but they just don't get the job. And then the last category is just downturn in business. Like if the business loses some key clients, key accounts, and you're forced to lay some of the staff off as a reduction, that's even harder because usually you're forced to let go of people that you wouldn't otherwise let go. So I've been in all those situations and they all suck.
Yeah, they're all terrible. The other one I would add that I have seen is not so much a loss of business, but more of a shift in a strategic direction.
Yes.
So sometimes those can be one and the same, right? Like this part of our business, this division is not doing well. We see that coming. We're going to lay some folks off. And that's more of a kind of a business performance, market driven. But others, I've seen even divisions that are doing well, where a strategic decision is made. That's not the business we want to be in anymore. We don't want to do that kind of work. We want to do this other kind of work. And so you can see these really strange situations where you hear thus and such companies having layoffs, and then they're hiring a bunch more people. And it's like, how can you have both layoffs and hiring blitz at the same time? Explain why that would happen, because I've seen that and I've had people be like, that's the dumbest thing ever. How can you both lay off people and hire people at the same time? But I think there could be, not always, but there could be circumstances or reasons why that pair of activities could actually make sense.
So that's probably the one if you have to say a body count, that's the category I actually have the biggest body count in, unfortunately. That's just the line of work, right? Like when you're going in and doing transformations and turning companies around and cleaning them up. And I think I want to rant for a second, because I think my biggest frustration is never in those situations. It's never about letting the people go. It's how the leadership team and the managers act in that moment and how they basically lie to themselves and everybody else of what's really happening because they feel guilty about it. And instead of just recognizing a spade's a spade. And I hope this doesn't sound heartless, but there are circumstances when the business is going to shift and there are just people that are not going to fit anymore. And that's okay, right? Like that's a business decision. What I hate is how companies handle it, where the manager tries to justify, well, they weren't a fit, or, it wasn't, they really sucked at their job. Like, no, the business made a strategic change. They no longer fit the role. And so just be honest with them. We're changing the business direction. This is the change in the role. And this is why you're no longer a fit. Hopefully, you did the background of, what is the box they're moving to? If it's an entire division being shut down, it's kind of is what it is. But if you're kind of shifting, hopefully you would work with those people to see if they fit wherever the box is molding to. But this is the one that drives me insane the most, is when they make the decision that this person is not going to be a fit for the future box. It's the change in strategic direction. Then they turn around and don't do anything for the employee. There's not a good severance package. They're not trying to help them find jobs. That's the thing that pisses me off that goes when we go into these circumstances. And probably I'm going to have to say, I would hope I'm 10 out of 10, but I got to be at least 8 or 9 out of 10 times that I've had to go in and do these mass people shifts. I've typically set up generous compensation packages and or found those people jobs because it's not their fault the business strategy changed. They're a victim of it, right?
Yep.
And so as a leader, the best thing you can do is help them find work. And what pisses me off more than anything is when they start to justify that was a bad employee because of the change in business direction. And then what's left with those people is that they have no clear understanding what's going on. Everybody talks inside the organization. So as soon as the guy starts telling, well, we got rid of Bob because, Bob just wasn't performing well. And then all of a sudden this guy's like, what? Why was I let go? Because I was told I was doing well. And then the business shifted. And that's, I think, the one it's not so much handling it or doing it. That's the problem. It's doing it in a, red line manner where we try to justify or we try to scapegoat, or you know what? Hey, you've been here for 3 years. We're changing direction of the business. Here's your 2 weeks.
Right.
2 week severance. Not only 2 week notice. Here's your 2 week severance. Like, it is not the employee's fault you had a change in business direction.
I have been on the receiving end of that. I was part of a very large project that just got killed, and they had taken probably 100 people. I mean, this is a Fortune 500 company. They'd taken over 100 people and put them on this one project. It was a transformation, kind of an internal transformation project, and we got a year down the road. And for a variety of reasons, most of which I think I agree with, they said, we're killing the project. They handled that well. They said, you've got 6 weeks. There's any job you know of in the company that you're interested in. We will help you, make introductions to the hiring manager. We will help you land on your feet because this isn't your fault. We've had a change of heart and a change of direction. So it can be done even in publicly traded, very, very large companies, but that isn't always the case.
Well, and it's funny you say that in like large publicly traded companies. Usually they offer some sort of package, right? When they're doing a big shift or consolidation or something like that, usually people get some sort of package, early retirement, stuff like that. I think the bigger companies, they may not be perfect at it, but I think they're much better at it. It's really that SMB space, 50, 100, 200, 300 people, that I think it gets dismissed, especially the big strategic one.